Could you survive 24 hours in London in the year 1348? Because that year, half the city's population simply disappeared. Today, you're going to see exactly what it was like to wake up, work, and try not to die in the most dangerous city in medieval Europe. And I'm going to show you something no history book reveals: what people actually did when they realized they were going to die. Stay until the end, because the most disturbing detail you'll only discover in the last 30 seconds. London, 1348. You wake up in a windowless room. It's dark even though it's noon, because the houses are so crammed together that light can't get in. The first sound you hear isn't a bird, it's your neighbor screaming Gardaloo, before dumping a bucket of shit out the window straight onto the street. You get up from the straw that serves as your bed, put on the same clothes you've been wearing for 3 months, because washing clothes is for rich people, and climb down the rotting wooden stairs. When you open the door, the smell hits you like a punch. It's not just sewage. It's sewage mixed with rotting meat, coagulated blood, and something sweet and sickening that you can't identify yet. It's the bodies. There are 3 piled up on the corner of your street since yesterday. Nobody has come to collect them yet. You need to buy bread. The bakery is 2 streets away, but you already know it's going to take 15 minutes to get there, because the streets are 3 feet wide and clogged with desperate people, dogs eating garbage, and carts stuck in the mud of human waste. A man runs past with a cloth over his mouth. Another is kneeling, vomiting black blood into the gutter. 3 children play next to him as if it's normal. And it is. Now it's normal. You arrive at the bakery and notice there are only half a dozen loaves. Yesterday, there were 50. The baker explains that 2 assistants died last week, and the wheat supplier disappeared. Nobody knows if he fled the city or if he's rotting in some cellar. You buy a stale loaf for 4 times the normal price. The baker doesn't look you in the eyes when he takes the coins. He knows this might be the last loaf he sells. On the way back, you see a black cart. It's the death cart. A hooded man shouts, "Bring out your dead," while 2 helpers throw bodies inside like they're firewood. There are 20, maybe 30 bodies piled up. An arm hangs out, swinging with every pothole in the road. You look away, but you can't block out the sound. The wet sound of dead flesh hitting dead flesh. You return home, but you can't go in. There's a red mark painted on your door. A cross. You know what this means. Someone inside your house is infected. It could be your mother, your brother, your daughter. And now you're all locked in together by order of the mayor. Mandatory quarantine. 40 days without leaving. 40 days breathing the same air as the person who's dying. You push the door open. Your sister is lying on the floor. She's 15 years old. Her neck is swollen to the size of an apple. The skin there is black, stretched, about to burst. She's shaking with fever, but her forehead is ice cold. That means her body has already started shutting down. She looks at you and whispers it hurts. That's all she can say. It hurts. You sit next to her and hold her hand because there's nothing else left to do. During the night, the bubo on her neck bursts. Black pus sprays onto the wall. The smell is so strong you vomit. She screams for 3 hours straight. Then she stops screaming. You think she's dead, but she's still breathing. Her eyes are open, but she doesn't see you anymore. Her body is covered in purple and black spots. It's the blood clotting under her skin. In 6 hours, she'll be dead. You can't bury her in the cemetery because there's no more space. London cemeteries are literally overflowing. Bodies piled 10 feet above ground. So you do what everyone is doing. You wait for the death cart to pass again, pay 5 silver coins, and hand over your sister's body to be thrown into a mass grave with 200 other bodies outside the city. You'll never know where she was buried. Nobody will. 3 days later, you wake up with a fever. You know what comes next. You saw it happen to your sister, to your neighbors, to half the city. You feel your own neck and find it. A small lump. It barely hurts yet, but you know that in 24 hours it will hurt so much you'll beg to die. You go out onto the street for the last time. The city is unrecognizable. Half the houses are empty. Half the shops are closed. Corpses rot on the sidewalks because there aren't enough people left to collect them. Dogs and rats eat the bodies openly. The church on your street is locked. The priest fled 2 weeks ago. God has abandoned London. You return home and lock yourself in your room. Not by order of the mayor, but because you don't want anyone to see you die. You don't want them to hear you scream. You lie down on the straw and wait. The fever rises. The bubo grows. The pain becomes unbearable. You understand now why your sister could only say it hurts. There's no word for this kind of pain. On the 3rd day, you stop feeling your legs. On the 4th, you can no longer swallow water. On the 5th day, you can't open your eyes anymore. And on the 6th day, you die alone in a dark room in a city that lost half its population in 18 months. But here's the detail I promised at the beginning. The detail no history book tells you. You know what Londoners did when they realized they were going to die. They wrote their names on the walls. With charcoal, with blood, with whatever they had. Because they knew nobody would bury them with a name. Nobody would remember them. So they wrote. When archaeologists excavated medieval houses in London in the 1990s, they found entire walls covered with names. Thousands of names scratched into the wood by people who knew they had hours to live. It was the last thing they did. Carve into the wall that they existed. The Black Death killed between 75 and 200 million people in Europe. In London, it killed 40,000 in less than 2 years. It changed the economy, destroyed the feudal structure, created a labor shortage that gave rise to the middle class. Europe before the plague was one place. Europe after was completely different. And it all started with a flea.